Hey, this video is half part of the whole final video. I think it's important to talk about whether it's okay to have blue story in the gacha community right now. Some people are worried about having such a serious topic in our community. This video will be about the good and bad to have blue story here and how we should deal with any serious topic that comes up. The other half of this video will come at the end of blue story. Honestly, I wasn't ready for this much attention, both inside and outside of our community. I've seen things on YouTube and people inform me about content on other platforms that might not have happened if blue story wasn't in the gacha community specifically. We all know the gacha community isn't always great at dealing with serious stuff, but we shouldn't just answer this question with a strict yes or no. I'm not here to share my opinion on this topic, as my say in this simply doesn't matter here. Which is why we will have a special someone who will talk about the good and bad sides of having blue story in the gacha community.
As someone who's watched blue story more times than I could count, I will be sharing my honest perspective and facts, along with some of my own shared pros and cons of the series. Firstly, let's start off with some of the pros of having this type of content established. Some of you may find it hard to believe, but I do tend to relate myself to one of these characters, especially Blue. And I'm sure I'm not the only one. Blue Story showcases a lot of different aspects when it comes to harassment, or sexual harassment, to be exact. And this may shock you, but any age can be involved in these types of things, especially when it comes to sensitive topics like these. But when you think about it, a topic like this can also be a mature and big first step for the gacha community. Promoting everything against sexualizing a person, while also adding visuals to give that impression more clearly through the character's experience. Why should we shy away from something that's clearly giving us what type of things to establish them in a toxic relationship that we should always be aware of in our stages of life? Another major point is it can educate younger audiences in many ways you can imagine. Kids will always find your way into social media, searching for answers on how to deal with situations like this. Whether they should or not, in the end, the blue story has only best intentions in mind when it comes to exploring its storyline and metaphors of sexual abuse. And you would always want what's best for your children and learning how to feel about these kind of issues in life. Blue Story even encouraged many to start telling their own personal stories as a way of finally not feeling alone in this situation, which is something we all want to feel. Not to feel alone, or how no one understands us in our own time of need. I guess the main point I'm trying to reach out is, wouldn't you rather have a young, impressionable child learn right from wrong with something as open-minded and relatable as the Blue Story when it comes through sexual harassment? Even Blue himself is showcasing emotions related to insecurities, shame, fear, and harm. All things that I believe all ages could go through when it comes to abuse, harassment, and mental health. But of course, not everyone will respond in an insightful way. Which brings us to our cons. While yes, some scenes can be interpreted as too graphic or too mature for this type of audience, which is the gacha community, I guarantee you the purpose of this concept isn't just to capture the attention of younger audience, As someone who's technically an adult, I'll admit watching these types of scenes does affect me in some way. Only when seeing the blue character being neglected by other characters do I feel sympathy, but then I remember this is something we could potentially face in real life. Spreading awareness about these kind of things can always be impacted differently by some viewers, as they might not bear to witness what the character is going through, even with the added warnings and highlighted parts of it being intended for more mature purposes. Some could possibly just mistake good intentions for bad intentions, especially in this community. Another possible con theory I have is that the viewer might tend to have difficulty understanding the blue story, meaning it is meant for a wider and more mature age dynamic, even though a younger audience tends to have more interest in the matter. It can even sometimes confuse the young viewer on who to root for, unintentionally making them back up the bad character's intentions. Like always, there's misinterpretation when it comes to immaturity. In fact, Blue Story was actually meant for a more mature audience between the age of 13 plus to 16 plus, but it has found its way appealing to a younger target audience, like kids who sometimes don't know any better and can tell the difference between right and wrong. By that, I mean 3 major red flags. Over-sexualizing the characters, especially the abusers. Constantly misinterpreting the story in twisted ways. Lack of maturity and not taking the story seriously. Especially when people use the phrase of loving the characters' designs but hate interactions. These are abusers and only abusers. Using the word love in their characters' designs isn't really what's suitable to use when it comes to that. I am all for admiring a character's design, but love, not so much. If they were to have extra traits and personalities, then I understand. But for now, my statement still stands. I'd only advise you to phrase your words more carefully when describing the character's appearance. So you may be wondering, what is my overall view and insight of the Blue Story? Well, in all honesty, I think we should learn to accept the good and the bad for something as inspirational as the Blue Story. Of course, I think the owner is fully aware it will not be a story that would change the Gacha community forever and make the sexualization stop for good. But when it comes to concept, storyline, characterization, emotions, effectiveness, impact, and facts we need to face in reality, this story covers it all in a very interesting and personal way a viewer could relate to and would learn to appreciate growing up in a community like this. In the end, you can only choose how to perceive it yourself.
This community wasn't equipped to be introduced with such a heavy topic, and I know a lot of you were surprised or shocked that such a topic has been brought here. So I'm now here to give a little guidance on how we as a community should handle such topic. But a disclaimer, I can't control nor delete what others say or do with Blue Story. I made this video for people who want clarification, as well as letting people know I don't accept nor encourage any bad content made about Blue's story. This video will unfortunately not stop any harmful media created by people, and I advise anyone who stumble upon these contents to simply either block or report them. Theories and analysis of Blue Story. As you can see from my community post, I've been actively sharing talks and discussion about Blue Story to let people express their opinions. The comment sections has also been a place to discuss and express themselves. I think we can all agree that having a talk about sexual abuse and actually understanding such topic is a good thing, instead of just patting the victims back and being sorry for them without actually understanding how negatively sexual abuse can impact someone's life. Fan works. I've been saying that you are allowed to make fan works of Blue Story as long as it's respectful. What that means is you can do pretty much anything but be actually mindful. Here are some questions to ask yourself before making any type of fan work or interacting with Blue Story. Would I want to be treated the same way? Put yourself in Blue's shoes, the victim's shoes, and consider if you would find the behavior respectful to your abuse. Would you want people to simp for someone who wrongs you, although you told those people what the abuser did to you? Would you want people to actively ship you with your abuser, knowing what that abuser did to you? Would you want those people to say how lucky you are to be abused, because for them, it looks hot? Am I considering the other person's feelings and perspective? Remember this. Blue is based on a real-life victim. People relate to him. Think about what that fan work might impact a victim of SA emotionally and mentally. Although it's a very gray area, as not all victims react the same way, some are okay with certain things, some aren't, and they are all valid. For example, some people like the way Blue Story is being presented, some hate the way it's presented. They are all valid. Both sides have their right to have their own opinion and acceptance about how a sensitive topic, especially that they themselves had gone through, should be treated. I have already stated way back then things that shouldn't be tolerated. Here is the Blacklist. I add more to it. Blue Story is based on real issues that happen in the real world. Those abusers are based on real-life abusers that victims had interacted with. So when I say to be respectful, when making any fan work or interacting with Blue Story, that's what I meant. Remember, it's not a black and white answer, which is why one of the videos that will handle how Blue reacts to his abuse will be fully drawn. As much as I'm hopeful the Gacha community will be able to handle the other 4 videos. This video, which will talk about hypersexuality, will not be in Gacha. I want only a mature audience to watch this video specifically, as hypersexuality is already very misunderstood and sometimes sexualized. Having hypersexuality mention in a place like the Gacha community will be way too harmful compared to talking about different type of sexual abuse or different ways someone will react to it. Hopefully this video provides more guidance on how we, as a community, should handle this topic.